There is a silence more powerful than thunder, a stillness that commands more respect than the loudest voice in the room. It does not beg, it does not chase, it does not flinch. It simply is. That is unshakable calm. In a world that spins faster every day, where news cycles roar, where digital tempests rage, and the smallest comment can erupt like wildfire, there remains one place that chaos cannot reach. One place no storm can touch. That place is inside you. But you weren't taught to go there. You were taught to react, to fight back, to shout over the noise. You were trained to panic when things go wrong, to spiral when things fall apart. No one told you the truth. That power doesn't live in noise. It lives in presence. When Marcus Aurelius sat down at the edge of war to write his meditations, he didn't write about conquering empires. He wrote about conquering himself. He understood what most people never will, that if you can master your reaction, you can master your reality. Because the man who controls his mind controls his life. But that calm, that kind of strength, it doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It's forged in chaos. You learn to stay calm not when things are easy, but when everything inside you wants to scream. You learn it when you get passed over for the job you worked years to earn, and you breathe anyway. When someone misjudges your character, and you don't rush to defend yourself. When life says no again, and you still show up, that's where the calm is born. And make no mistake, this isn't passive. This isn't weakness. This is a weapon. Because nothing is more intimidating than a person who will not be moved, the one who doesn't flinch when provoked, the one who can sit in silence while others lose their minds. That person owns the room, owns the moment, and most of all, owns themselves. You want to know how powerful calm is? Ask a samurai. Ask a surgeon. Ask the pilot who lands a jet with a failed engine. They all say the same thing. Panic is the enemy. Stillness is everything. But here's the truth. Most people won't tell you. You were not born calm. Calm is not something you inherit. It is something you train. Then you train it in the small moments. When traffic cuts you off and you grip the wheel instead of shouting. When your child spills the milk and you smile instead of scolding. When your partner forgets something important and you lean into grace instead of blame. That's the practice. That's the gym for your mind. Because if you can stay calm in the little things, you will not break in the big ones. You see, unshakable calm is not an emotion. It is a decision, a discipline. It is not the absence of pressure, but the refusal to be broken by it. That's what Epictetus meant when he said, it's not events that disturb us, but our opinion about them. You have been lied to your entire life, told that peace is a place. That if you can just get the job, get the money, get the respect, then you'll be calm. But peace is not a destination. It is a posture. It's choosing moment by moment, not to let the outside world decide your inner one. And if you don't make that choice, something else will. Let's be honest. You already know what it feels like to be controlled by your emotions. The anger that hijacks your day, the anxiety that won't let you sleep, the fear that stops you before you even begin. But have you ever felt what it's like to take a deep breath when the panic hits? To stay still when everything inside wants to lash out? To feel the emotion come and then let it go? That is freedom. Not the kind of freedom sold in ads or shouted from rooftops. But the real kind, the kind no one can give you and no one can take away. Because it's built inside. You want to change your life? Start by changing how you respond. Because nothing will ever go exactly to plan. Your dreams will take longer than you want. People will misunderstand you. You will lose things you love. You will be tested. But in those moments, you don't have to be a prisoner. You can be the eye of the storm, the place where nothing moves unless you say so, where your voice stays steady even when the world trembles, where your presence brings peace instead of panic. That's leadership. That's power. That's mastery. You see, we've confused reaction with strength. We think that to win, we have to fight everything. That silence is weakness. That restraint is submission. But the wise know better. The wise know that restraint is power in its purest form, that silence can roar louder than rage, that the calm mind is not a defeated one, it is the one doing the choosing. Because every time you react from emotion, you give away your power. And every time you pause, breathe, and respond with intention, you take it back. You may not realize it, but right now, in this very moment, you are training your mind. Every time you choose to lash out, you are strengthening your rage. Every time you give in to fear, you are training your nervous system to panic. But every time you breathe through it, move through it, rise above it, you are teaching your body how to be free. That's what the Stoics practiced. Not perfection, presence. They didn't sit on mountaintops meditating their way to peace. They walked into the world, into noise, into fire, and brought calm with them. They were soldiers, politicians, emperors, slavesmen, surrounded by war and chaos. And yet they mastered the art of peace, because they knew one thing. Control is not about the world bending to your will. It's about refusing to let the world bend your spirit. Think of Nelson Mandela, who emerged from prison after 27 years, not bitter, not broken, but clear-eyed and composed. Or Viktor Frankl, who endured the horrors of concentration camps and still said, "The last of human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." These men were not spared suffering, but they chose not to suffer twice, because pain is inevitable. Chaos is constant, but your reaction is always your responsibility. Let me ask you something. Who would you rather be? The person who breaks every time something breaks around them, or the person who stands unshaken while others fall apart? Because life will test you, and you don't get to decide when or how, but you do get to decide who shows up in that moment. The frantic, reactive, panicked version of you, or the one who has prepared? Who has trained in the quiet hours? Who has built calm like muscle, repetition after repetition? The person who can walk into the fire and not flinch, that's not luck. That's not magic. That's discipline. You don't build unshakable calm by accident. You build it by intention. You build it when you say no to the argument that wants to start, when you forgive the person who never apologized, when you sit with discomfort instead of running from it, when you feel the heat rise in your chest and choose to smile anyway. Calm is a decision every time. And the more you make it, the easier it becomes. Your nervous system starts to trust you. Your breath returns faster. Your presence grows deeper, and people feel it. Yes, others feel it, because unshakable calm is contagious. Walk into a chaotic room with a steady spirit and watch how the energy shifts. Walk into a meeting full of blame and drama and respond with clarity and see how others begin to mirror you. You don't need to say much. You don't need to prove anything. Just be still. Stillness changes rooms. Stillness changes relationships. Stillness changes lives. But the only way to access that stillness is to earn it. Through practice, through failure, through rising again and again when the world tries to drag you back into noise. You must become the guardian of your peace, because this world will hand you 1,000 reasons to panic. 1,000 distractions, offenses, insults, betrayals, but that's not your burden. Your burden is one thing only: to hold the line within, to refuse to become what you hate, to refuse to be pulled into chaos by someone else's storm. You don't need to match their energy. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to win every argument. You only need to win yourself. That is the greatest victory you will ever know. Do not let the volume of the world drown the voice within you, because beneath the noise, beneath the panic, beneath the flashing screens and flying opinions, there is a whisper, and that whisper is your truth. It speaks not in urgency, but in clarity, not in fear, but in conviction. It's the part of you that knows who you are when the titles fade, when the applause stops, when you're alone with your thoughts and can still smile. That is your center. That is your calm. And in a world addicted to reaction, nothing is more rebellious, more powerful, more transformational than choosing stillness. Not passivity, stillness. There is a difference. Passivity accepts anything. Stillness observes everything. Passivity is fear dressed in silence. Stillness is confidence without noise. So the next time life pushes you, pause. Feel it. And then don't move. Not until you're sure you're choosing, not reacting. Because the moment you react blindly, you hand over the pen. You let someone else write your story. But the one who responds with presents, the one who chooses their next move, is the author of their own power. Think of every great leader, every timeless icon you've ever admired. Were they loud? Were they frantic? No. They moved deliberately. They spoke with weight. They made you feel safe just by being there. That's not charisma. That's calm. Because when you're calm, people trust you. When you're calm, you see clearly. When you're calm, you lead whether you're a parent, a boss, or just someone trying to get through the day with grace. But don't be mistaken. This calm isn't about never feeling anything.